Hello, welcome to the United Community Channel. My name is Jack, and this is the latest episode of the United Community Podcast. And we've got a busy show tonight. We've got plenty to talk about. We're going to be discussing Bruno Fernandes and the interview that he had saying United wanted him to leave. We're going to be talking about Kobbie Mainoo and the chance maybe coming up for him this weekend. Now that Casemiro is suspended, players are gone to AFCON. We'll talk about AFCON as well, guys, and what it means to Manchester United over the coming weeks. And, of course, we'll talk about transfers as well. Some big news in relation to Semenyo coming out in the last maybe half an hour or so. As always, we've got a few of the boys in. Chris is with us, and Desi is there as well. All good, boys?
All good.
All good. Happy days. Don't know where to start because we've got so much to talk about, but I kind of have him in order here, just as I kind of typed him out on my computer. And Bruno was the first one. So I suppose we'll start with the captain, the main man at Manchester United. Chris, give me your thoughts on this whole story first and foremost, because obviously, look, Bruno comes out, he says the club wanted to, or were happy maybe to let me go in the summer, but, didn't want to kind of make the decision. It was kind of, was it the club wanted him to make the decision so they looked good maybe? What's your thoughts on it? Is it damaging to the club? Is it an annoyance? Is it a distraction? And ultimately, is it Bruno maybe moving on in the summer?
I mean, I think he's going to move on in the summer. I mean, I honestly think that. Unfortunately, I'm a Bruno fan, but I mean, if you want to go back and look at what we were all talking about in the summer, is that, we all thought we should cash in on him. Because how often do we get 80 to 100 for one of our players, that's already, 31, or is he 32 already? I think he's 31. So, I mean, I don't love how the club, kind of was like, from what I understand is that they were kind of like, well, we have this opportunity. We'll leave it up to you. We're not going to be the bad guy. We'll let you decide. And ultimately, even if he decided to leave, I don't think he would have been looked at as I don't think he'll be looked at in a bad light if he would have left in the summer. And, I can understand where Bruno's coming from, saying, they didn't really say that they wanted me to stay. They left it they left it up to me. And from what I understand, that Ruben Amorim had a nice chat with him and, said that he wanted him to stay. So basically, Bruno then, decided to stay at that point. I mean, I don't know if he decided to stay or not. I wasn't there. I wasn't a fly on the wall. So I don't know where his head was at. Like if he was already out the door and Ruben brought him back, or how that was all a part of it. From everything that I've read is that, he was, he knows that at some point he's going to move on, and everything, because that's just natural, whether he's going to retire, whether he goes to Saudi Arabia, whether he goes to the Bundesliga, or because I've heard reports that Bayern Munich can put him on their list and everything like that. So,
I think there is a release clause in his contract, which I read as well, that he can go to a top six, a club in the top six of the top 5 leagues or something for like 56 or 57 million, which is really low.
It's really low, and that's the thing. But, you look at that and you go, but of the top 6 teams of all leagues, how many did you really expect to want to bring in at 30? I mean, at this point, he's going to be 32 going on 33. That's not necessarily what they always want to do. But at the same time, we were all kind of pining for maybe he should leave. And that, across all channels, people were thinking if we could cash in 80 to 100, get 80 to 100 for him to go to Saudi Arabia, that would open up the doors to get midfielders or wing backs or one of each, or more players into, as Desi said in the match reaction, to strengthen the squad all over the place. Not necessarily just bring in starters, but the possibility that you're going to have the strength and depth that we need, that we lack right now. So, I mean, I don't love it, but I mean, I think this is a little bit more of a black mark on INEOS, where it's like, they didn't want to be the bad guys.
Yeah.
And that's the way I look at it. And, I can't fault Bruno for going after generational money. Like in Saudi Arabia, if he's going to get paid that kind of money, like who's not going to be tempted by it? There's a lot of younger players that were tempted by that and went.
Yeah, well, I think ultimately it didn't turn his head too much because, you know, in the end he did stay, you know, and Desi, like, he said more than anything, the reason why he stayed, he said, one, it was because of family reasons, and secondly, ultimately because he loves Manchester United. I mean, from a fan standpoint, we can't ask for too much more than that. You know, we've seen what he's done over the years since he's been here in terms of his numbers. He's always available. He's, you know, number one on the team sheet week in, week out. And I know that every player has his sell-by date, and you should be, you know, from a business standpoint, moving someone on at the right time is something that needs to be done. But do you think we probably should have moved him on in the summer? Do you think it was the peak of maybe money we could have got from him, or do you think ultimately we're better off keeping him?
It's a tough question, that, I think. Look, number one, like, Bruno's a brilliant player, and there's no doubt about that. In terms of, like, if we were in a better position squad wise, all day we would have been selling them in the summer, because now is actually the right time to sell them to get the most amount of money that we can for them. But with the current squad the way it was, like, I did say, and I will stick by it, but now look, hindsight's a great thing. We would be lost without that player had we have sold him in the summer, and I'd be eating my words right now. And I'm open to, you know, catching myself out. I don't mind that, but I don't like the fact that he's come out and said that now. Like, and what's the reasoning behind even letting that out now?
Yeah,
like we have been in a position mainly throughout last year where we've had players, numerous different amount of players, you know, go to their social media, you know, go to interviews, and we seem to have got a grip on that at the start of this season. We have been relatively quiet in terms of, you know, any squad players coming out and saying that, and Bag and Nacho this year. He was the only player that really that done that this year. So I don't like, from a captain's point of view, and obviously because of the caliber of player he is, and we have too much noise in the background that needs to be sorted out. You mentioned something the other day, and I'll finish on this, is that, can Ruben Amorim turn around the mentality of this squad?
yeah.
And when you've got your captain, Jack, coming out, and whether it's to the Portuguese media, and it's going to get round. He's a big name player in the world, you know, and it's going to get round very quickly. I just don't like the timing of it from him. He could have kept.
Wasn't this interview done during the international break? Because it was the Portuguese media that asked him. It wasn't the English media.
Yeah,
it wasn't just like he came out yesterday or today and said.
It was done a couple of weeks ago, but it wasn't sanctioned by Manchester United.
Oh, okay.
But Jack, bottom line is that if Man United were, as a club, in a better position now, squad wise, we probably wouldn't have Bruno Fernandes. He'd have been moved on. But the problem is that United are caught in between a rock and a hard place. And this is where, as a fan base, we have to look at and say, we have not got the strength and depth. We can't afford to sell him. I do think that next summer is the time to sell him, because time is to run out.
Yeah.
And if we want to really get behind this manager and start to add the pieces to the puzzle that he needs, he's going to have to be the one of the players to go. There's a few others, but we need the money from him. And we're not going to get it. Like, if we keep him next year, Jack, let's say he's going the summer, what's his value then the following summer?
Yeah.
You know, he's kicking into what, 33, 34. You're not going to get that money for him.
Yeah.
But the other part of it is like, and I get it, like, and I agree with Desi. I don't love that it came out and everything like that. But the one thing about Bruno is, if he's always been the same way. He's asked questions, he's going to answer them honestly. He's not gonna hide it. He's not gonna, you know, and everything. And if it's an honest answer, it's an honest answer. I mean, you know, it wasn't like
Chris, the difference between when he's the captain of the team, and people might say, captains are not like it. He's still the captain of the team. You don't come out in an interview during the current situation that we're in, when we're trying to change all that, and I'm sure he's well aware of what's been happening at the club. He's been there himself. He's trying to be ironed out, and I think if you look he's been very ruthless with players that have talked and spoken. He doesn't like the type of carry on. So the minute you turn your back on Aaron, he's going to just going to throw you under the bus. That's it. It's as simple as that. And I don't think he's going to do that to Bruno now because he can't afford to. But at the same time, we don't need this noise right now. We really don't. And there was no real. What does he gain, or what is it that he's trying to gain from saying that? Because I'd love to know what he's trying to gain from saying that now. Because I can't. I've actually thought about it when Jack put up the video the other day. What is the reason behind him actually coming out now at this current moment and saying that?
I mean, I don't love it, but I don't think it's going to kill him. I don't think it's going to hurt him because he said that he picked United over going anywhere else, and that the club said it's up to you. The club, I didn't say the club wanted me gone, and I decided to block it and stay. He said the club said it's up to you.
No, he still looks good, like, to the fans. That's fine.
I think it's ultimately Bruno paving the way for his exit in the summer. I think you know what I mean. Like, I think he's saying, right, look, I've done everything I can. My time is up now. The club are open to selling me. You know, will I be able to get this type of money again? You know, will Saudi Arabia even come back in for me? And look, I understand every player has to think of their future as well, you know, and they do. And that's fair enough. I'd never have an issue with that as long as it doesn't degrade the club or at the expense of the club, like what Ronaldo done, for example, you know, with that interview. You know, like that's completely different. I think Bruno was probably asked the question, you know, did United want to sell you? Well, they were probably, you know, they were open to selling me, but I decided to stay ultimately, you know.
And the hardest thing for me is that, you know, as much as we were all kind of on board, it's like, yeah, for that amount of money, we should probably cash in on him and everything, like what Desi said. But at the same time, it's like, but you don't know what you're going to get. There's not a foregone conclusion that let's just say it's 100 million that we get for him. That 100 million may not go right back into the squad. They may have only spent like 40 million of it, and you're going to get two youngsters to play in the middle. And then because you're going to give up that to gain, we're going to go future. Because that's the one thing INEOS has done is the fact that they buy the younger players, a la your Sescos, and everything. The two guys that they bought in Mbeumo and Cunha, they're 24, 25. Like, they're not getting an inexperienced player, you know, where I think that's what we're lacking is because if you look at it, the only experience we have on Monday's game was Bruno, Casemiro, Luke Shaw, you know, and one of those, Luke Shaw is a guy that's been here for however many managers, you know, like he just sticks around, like, you know, but then other than that, you don't really have any other leadership there.
Yeah, well, I think it's a similar thing to what we said about, you know, when we were talking about the extend Casemiro's contract for another year to allow the younger players that we signed, like a Baleba or an Anderson or an Elliott, to learn off of them for a year. It's that transitional period, you know, the overlap nearly, you know.
It's either you rip the Band-Aid off or you try to put a Band-Aid on and just say, but then we run into this problem like the Kobbie Mainoo thing where it's like, well, when does he get to play? Because we don't have more than one competition. We're playing once a week and everything, and all of a sudden now it's kind of like everybody's clamoring for Kobbie to play, and I understand it, but at the same time it's like, well, at what expense do we put him in? And if we get a bad result, you know, it's a fine line to walk down. You know, it's like, you know, because if the result turns bad, let's say Kobbie plays in the one game that we won, we would have lost. And, you know, because maybe he didn't have a great game in the midfield or something like that, and everybody's clamoring like, oh, well, why did they start him or what, you know, and everything like that. Like, it's a fine line that you have to walk, especially because it's different when you have many competitions, because then you can sit some guys, you can change it up a little bit, but you know, we're trying to get as many points as possible. Granted, we're dropping some, but it's, you know, it's the nature of the bit. It's the nature of the beast at that point. You know?
Yeah, 100%. Right. Well, look, if Bruno does leave, there's one man that could potentially just, you know, fill his boots instantly, and that's Kobbie Mainoo. You know, and we've had a little bit of a debate about this over the last couple of weeks, and I think Chris is on one side of the fence, I'm on the other side. We don't know about Desi. He might just be sitting right on top of it in the middle of both of us. But Chris, look, I'll go to you first because obviously I think you've been chomping at the bit now to get on and talk about Kobbie Mainoo for a week or so. But look, obviously he's not getting game time. I've been clamoring for him to be starting more, to be getting more game time. And I thought when he did come on the other night, I thought he was good. He was neat and tidy. I think we had a lot more control when he was on. Is it time now for Kobbie Mainoo to actually get some proper minutes? Players gone to AFCON, Casemiro, but I want you to arc it as if, does he deserve it or not in your eyes?
Does he deserve? I'm not in Carrington, so I don't know that. I don't know if he deserves it or not. But the one thing I'll say about deserves, and Amorim came out and said it too, is that, Casemiro last season was behind Toby Collier, and he was not playing when Amorim first came in and everything like that. He played himself back in. So the only thing I'm going to sit there and say is there's got to be something going on in practice that he's not showing good enough to really get the minutes. But the other thing that I say is like he came on neat and tidy, like you said, and I agree with him. He was very good going forward. He controls the game and everything like that. But my pushback with him is that defensively, he's not good. He's not good defensively. He lacks the awareness defensively to be in a midfield 2. In a midfield 3, it's different. In a midfield 2, he's not that player yet. I'm not saying he can't be that player. But you got to remember, he's only 20 years old. I find that if you watch him defensively, he ball watches a lot. He's not tactically positioning himself beforehand and everything like that. And I think he, as much as he likes going forward and puts himself in good positions going forward, it really hurts him on the defensive side of the ball. And that's where I think it's going to be like, I anticipate come Villa that I think Bruno's going to move in at a 10. I think you're going to find Ugarte and Mainoo playing in there because defensively, Ugarte will cover the center backs. And that's my problem is even in the Bournemouth game, he got sucked in going forward, and they transitioned past us. And that's, again, I'm not putting it all on him. Bruno has to, when he's playing in the midfield too with Mainoo, he's got to look at it and say, okay, I'm with this kid, I'm with this guy. He likes to float a little bit more, so he's a senior player, so he has to take the brunt of it and say, I may need to drop off a little bit, or because I just think that defensively he's not ready yet. That's my offensively, Jack, you point out he's calm on the ball, he moves the ball, he does everything offensively, but defensively in a midfield 2, he's not good enough yet. Okay. And I say yet. I'm not throwing in the towel on the kid, but you got to remember, name me a couple players that can come into a midfield 2 and play in a squad that, like Desi says, we're not the strongest squad in the world. Because, like, people say, Adam Morton, Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace has a stronger overall defensive squad than we do, ultimately, and everything like that. So I just look at him defensively. But like I said in the chat, it's a bad way to say it. It's make or break time because he's going to get a chance to play and he's got to be ready. Because I don't want to hear any more, he only comes on for 10 minutes and everything like that. Well, in my mind, if you get your 10 minutes, you get your 10 minutes, and you do everything that you can to prove to the manager that you should be out there and not kind of be like, I only got 10 minutes and it doesn't really matter. No. I'm sorry. You're a professional. You get 10 minutes, you get 10 minutes.
Yeah. Well, Desi, let me know your thoughts on it because obviously, look, Chris makes a good point, and I do agree that defensively he can improve. There is room for improvement there. I would also throw the argument back that, with Sesko being injured, Cunha was injured, the manager could quite easily have played him in one of the 10s or played Bruno in the 10 and bring Mainoo in beside a more defensive player like Casemiro. And he didn't do that, and a couple of times when you're chasing games, obviously the West Ham game stands out where it's 1-1 and he doesn't even get off the bench. The Everton game we're 1-0 down. I think he gets maybe 26, 27 minutes or something. What's your thoughts on the whole situation? Should he be playing more, or are you kind of leaning towards what Chris is saying?
Right. Look, Jack, I like Kobbie Mainoo. I think a lot of the fans like Kobbie Mainoo. When I look at the player, and I think, if we just go back a little bit, and we go back to when he first came in, when Ten Hag was there, he took the stage by storm, really, and he cemented himself in the squad. He scored some very important goals for us. He looked really, really good. He looked like a promising young midfielder that we were nearly saying we need to build a team around this guy. He's that good technically. I think then with the relationship obviously between and Ten Hag, that falls through the floor, and new manager comes in, and he, this new manager obviously doesn't see it the way Ten Hag sees it, because everybody has their own different views. And what Chris said straight from the beginning there when you asked him the question was, we don't get to see what's going on in Carrington. One thing that has said is that, application to training, if you train and you work really hard and you do what's required of you, and you show whatever it is that he's looking for, you will get your opportunity.
Yeah.
I think that when he wasn't getting a bit of game time, maybe, and this is just guessing, Jack, this is not like for saying,
Yeah.
he might not have shown the characteristics that Amorim was looking from a young player playing in the United squad, trying to fight his way back into the team. He then approaches the club and asks for a move. And I think personally, when that happened, that might have soured things a little bit. Because say what Amorim is looking for from Mainoo is, okay, I am giving you 10 minutes, work harder. It's 20 minutes, work harder.
Yeah.
I know you're good. I've never debated that you're not good enough, but I want to see the hunger in you. I want to see you fight. He does have to work harder on the defensive point of view, Jack. It is a new system for him. He is more isolated than a two in midfield, so he does have to work harder. This shape alone requires a lot more running than some other shapes, so he has to get used to that. But it's frustrating because there's so much unlocked potential inside of Kobbie Mainoo, and the fans look at him and think, what if? Is it minutes? And everybody's trying to find the solution to the problem, because everybody wants to see Kobbie Mainoo back out on the pitch playing 90-minute matches, showing us that flair. When he gets the ball on the edge of your seat, and that's what he gives you, because he's got a footballing brain. He's brilliant. The problem is now, Jack, I think it's snookered. And I think it's snookered because of what happened at the previous match. And when we look at what happened with his brother,
Yeah.
that's not going to go down, Jack. It's not.
No.
Ruben Amorim. And listen, if Ruben Amorim is a true man to his own word, he is not going to let anybody cross the line, because it shows weakness within himself. And right now at Manchester United, we have been buying tickets to the circus for I don't know how many years. We have been continuously buying tickets to the circus. Manager, right? This player, that player. It's not him, it's him. And he is trying to steady the ship. And while he's trying to steady the ship, he's probably saying to Kobbie, keep working hard. And then his brother comes out and does something like that. And I think, Jack, now, the writing's on the wall. Unfortunately for him, as much as I want to see him in a Manchester United shirt, I think his days are numbered now after that. I really do. I don't see the manager letting a player, whether it be his family member, himself, still tied to him. And that shouldn't have happened in the ground. It's got out now. And it's a sad situation. Do I think that he deserved more game time? There was times, as you mentioned there, in those games where I felt like, bring him on, because we haven't got many players like him that can come on and maybe change a game for us in the
I think
last
he
20 minutes.
did he bring on Ugarte against West Ham instead of Mainoo? I thought it was fucking.
Yeah, and the thing with Ugarte is he's nearly one-dimensional. He's a terrier going around the pitch. You know what I mean? And he puts out fires, and that's all he does. Whereas maybe Kobbie lacks that bit of Ugarte that he needs. Like, he needs a bit of Ugarte in him, but he gives you the spark or the light or something that you need in the last 10 minutes where he can just do something that he might come on and not touch the ball and he's on for 20 minutes, but he just needs one goal. And
Exactly. The game against Leon where he scores the equalizer,
Okay.
And that's what he's capable of, But that is what he's capable of. Look, no, Chris, you have to take it for the context that it's in. He scored some crucial goals, and you have to look at the age of him.
But okay. But let me attack that real quick because this is what drives me nuts. With Ten Hag, he scored a total of 3 goals and everything. So 1 goal was a brilliant goal, and I'm not going to take away what he did, and he scored. But we're playing Wolves, and he scores. Again, it's Wolves, number 1. And we're pressing, and we're going all forward. We don't care if we lose.
No.
The same thing, though.
I'm not having that. I'm not having that because it's a no, Chris. Chris. Goal he scored against Wolves. The goal he scored against Wolves. It doesn't matter who. Look, you have to beat the 11 men in front of you. Whether they're wearing an orange shirt, a blue and white shirt, it doesn't really matter.
Responsibility. All you can do is go forward. You have to look at that, and it's like he can sit up front and not worry about defensively because it wouldn't have mattered if we lost the game because we were going for the game. You guys have to understand that when you're going like the Leon game, brilliant goal again, not taking it away from him, but there's no defensive responsibility for him. It's all out hate. You guys go forward, get the ball, put the ball in the net. That's all I care about right now. That's what the hell was. So you have to take it.
So hold on.
There's a lot more games when he got to play, even under Ten Hag, that he disappeared because in the normal run of play where he has to play both ways, you don't see.
So what about his general play, though, Chris? If you're just going to pinpoint the goals, what are you going to talk about his general play then? Are you going to look at the overall picture? Because we can easily go, well, he only scored 3 goals. He only scored 3 goals and we were going for attack, so he should nearly score anyway. But are you going to look at the actual player and what he offers to the team?
Yes.
Because he's a very, very clever... No, hold on. He's a very, very clever young footballer who offers you something when he's on the ball. He absolutely dominated Szoboszlai, who was playing in a Liverpool team, who was surrounded by absolute masters, and he rinsed them for 90 minutes. So take away the goals, Kobbie Mainoo, general ability, tactical ability.
There's a lot more games that he disappeared. There's a lot more games that he got rinsed more than when he rinsed other players. Go back. Give me
some of them.
I
don't remember us ever.
He was playing. No, hold on, Jack. Hold on. If he was playing, give me some of the matches where he played 75.
I don't remember us ever talking about Kobbie Mainoo getting rinsed in the first 18 months of his career at Manchester United. Never.
In the Grimsby game, you didn't get rinsed?
Everybody got rinsed in the Grimsby game.
Okay, but he's still part of it.
I understand. I'm talking about in the first 18 months of his career at Manchester United when he was playing every game. I don't think we spoke once about Kobbie Mainoo getting rinsed.
There was games in the first 18 months that we sat there and said, where did Kobbie Mainoo go? What happened to him? What did he do? He didn't really do much in those games. Maybe rinsed is a strong word, but there's times that you sit there and you go, did he have the best game? No, he didn't. Because if he had the best game, there's no way he's coming off the pitch ever. Let's be honest about that.
Right. Well, is it a straight argument then to say that it's just because there's 2 in midfield that he's not getting into this team?
I think so. I think because of his defensive, his lack of defensive ability there, like to play in a 2 in midfield. If we had 3 in the midfield, I think he plays every game. I agree that because if you look at what needs to be done with two midfielders in the middle, it's far like Des, you said it earlier. There's a lot more that you have. It's a vast thing that you have to cover a lot more. And the one thing that Bruno and everybody wants to say stuff. Oh, Bruno's not a midfielder. No, but his work rate is far greater than anybody else we have on the team.
And that's what we should look at because it's not about him being defensive. Look, if you're a good attacking footballer, yeah, you still have the awareness. There's 2 parts to the game. You attack and you defend. Simple. It's not rocket science.
Yeah.
So to say that a player of his ability is defensive work, his work rate is what I would be looking at defensively.
That's
It's
what
not.
I'm talking
I
about.
wouldn't say that the chap can't defend.
No,
I'd say
no,
he's
no.
not working hard on the defensive side of the game.
And I agree with you, but that's where I think that I myself think his defensive work rate is not there. His recovery speed is not there. It's not as fast as Bruno. And the only thing I'll go back and Desi, you kind of touched on this, like in the beginning of the season when you talked about Mainoo and how maybe he didn't show his best because he didn't get the transfer out and he didn't. And I think you have to couple the idea too that we kind of forget that he was asking for a new contract of $200K a week and he didn't get it. So did he sulk a little bit about that? And did he, was he upset with that he thought that he should get $200K a week? And maybe he didn't put his best foot forward. Again, I'm just guessing because, if you want to,
and that's why, Chris, that's why I agreed with you on what you said from the very first point. You hit the nail on the head. Was that we don't get to see what's going on in Carrington.
Yeah.
But there's little snippets to what we've been told, to what's been going on behind the scenes. Not everything.
Yeah.
But he looked for his transfer. He's looking for massive wages. And then in between all that, is he working hard in the team? We don't get to see that. But there's one thing that Amorim has said, and he has stood by it, is that if you cannot put the application in on the training pitch, you're not in. And listen, that's pretty basic as a manager, because if you can't do it on a Wednesday for me, why do you think I'm going to throw you on a fucking Saturday or a Sunday? Do you know what I mean? That's just simple, and it's simple for the player to understand. So maybe during that period when all this is going on and he's coming to the club, he's looking to get out, and then he's looking for a big contract, whichever came first, and he doesn't get either. He probably just dropped the ball and said,
here's my argument on the training thing about, he mightn't be training too well or anything. If he wasn't, I think Amorim would tell the media. I think he would tell everybody, because he has been that straightforward with Garnacho, with Rashford, with players in the past in his short term at Manchester United. He has come out and said, no, this is why they're not playing. This is why they're in, game one, basically, with Rashford and Garnacho, I think it was the City game. Why are they not in the squad? Yeah. They didn't train well enough. Simple as that. When they train better, they'll be in. And he hasn't said any of that about Mainoo. So I have a feeling. I have a feeling he just doesn't rate him. I think that's what it is. I just don't think he rates him.
But ultimately, like I don't know if he doesn't rate him, Jack, because I would think he'd be silly to not rate him because of all the things that Desi did point out about, and you pointed out about how good he is. And I even think going forward and everything, how good he is. But like we always talk about, you want to make a like for like sub. I don't think he can. You can't put him on for Casemiro with Bruno in a normal situational game. And the problem is Bruno never comes off.
But we did do that, or he did do that against Bournemouth the other night, and we looked more in control when he was on the pitch.
Yes. No,
kind of negates what we're saying then.
But when we had the ball, we were more control, but we still gave up goals too because it came through the midfield. And if you watch one of the goals, I think it's the fourth one, he's chasing his man back.
Yeah.
And I'm not throwing it, and please, I am not throwing him under the bus because ultimately it's a team thing, but you have to look at it. And I think it's our weak spot in the Bournemouth game was the fact we had teenagers playing in the back. And Lisandro Martinez is rusty, and he got beat and everything like that. There's individual mistakes, like Amorim said. The goals came on individual errors, individual mistakes by players.
Danica makes a good point here, and let me throw this to you. Does Amorim value athleticism and robotic football over technical ability and freedom of expression? I mean, there's an argument there for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, you fit the system. This is your role. And I'm not going as far as the Guardiola method of doing things. You've got to pass here, you've got to pass there. But is there an argument to say, like we had our best half of football in half a decade the other night against Bournemouth. And why? Because we went for it. We changed formation. We went 4-4-2 because we were going for it. And it was the best football and the most entertaining football we've seen in a long, long time. And surely then after that, there has to be an argument to say Amorim needs to just maybe pull the shackles off. Not all the time, but every now and again, let him off the leash.
No, but I don't think, I think two things can be true. I think that he doesn't want you to lose your expression, but coupled with that, you still got to do your other responsibilities too. Understand, hey, if I'm going to make that bombing run forward, one, I got to tell Jack, hey Jack, I'm going to make this run. So can you cover me, or Desi, can you if you see me going forward, can you drop off a little bit, or I need to bust my butt to get back. If I don't get the ball, I don't get to go up there and go, I didn't get the ball, but I made the run. You have to get back. And I think you have to be able to do both at that point. And I don't think because you watch Bruno make runs and everything like that, but the one thing Bruno will do, he'll bust his butt to get back to where he needs to be. And I think that's what it is. And I think if Ruben can trust you to do all those things, then he's going to put you on the field. He's going to put you on the pitch.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's fair enough. Absolutely. Yeah. Right. While we're talking about Kobbie Mainoo, we need to touch on we need to touch on, and I'll go to you first on this, Desi, what Ruben, because me and Chris had a bit of a go at each other after in the match reaction the other night about what Ruben Amorim said about the young players. Two of them are out on loan, and obviously Chido Obi then as well in the academy. That they're struggling at the moment. And my argument was he's trying to fight his own corner, and in the process, he's, I think he's regretted what he says, to be quite honest with you. But, he says about Harry Amas that he's struggling at Sheffield Wednesday, which he absolutely isn't. Collier is struggling at West Brom a little bit. A lot of it has to do with injury, and Chido can't get into the under-21 squad for every game. What's the benefit of that? What's the benefit of the manager coming out and saying that?
There's no benefit, but look, at the end of the day, Jack, I think that's the one time we'll give him a pass. As look, a lot of fans don't want to. I understand it. But it's the first time he hasn't been honest. His honesty, that's not honest. That's just fucking total garbage. Do you know what I mean? And I think in hindsight, looking at it now, he probably thinks, "What the fuck did I do that for?" And he's human. He's been very honest in most of his interviews. And
he's been very likable, in fairness.
Very likable. But he won't be doing that like that again in a hurry. And he stepped across the mark there, and I think he knows that. I'm sure he knows it now.
Right.
Because there's no way, like when you look at Harry Amas, look, the club's struggling. You don't receive the Player of the Month award because you're struggling. That's just you can't have the best of both worlds there. He definitely is playing well for a struggling team, and he's doing really well. And I don't think there's any benefit for a young lad like him to hear his manager saying stuff like that. Hopefully get a little text on the side that said, "Here, I'll take that back." But no, Jack, I don't. There's no benefit to it. There is not. Look, we're not going to shy away from the truth here. You can say it creates a fire for them. It might want them to be more hungry. Yeah, it could do, but there's no benefit in the manager saying that. You could you could do it privately as a manager to maybe a little fire.
100% privately. It's. I have no problem with criticizing young lads. It's doing it to the media is what annoys me. But Chris,
again,
go on.
More noise.
Yeah,
exactly. And this time it's coming from the manager who doesn't accept it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So,
exactly. 100%. Go on, Chris. You're mad to jump in. Let me just put that there before you do.
Welcome to your participation trophy.
Go on, Chris.
He's the best player and the worst, I guess. I don't watch Sheffield Wednesday, so I can't sit there and say he played absolutely outstanding. But if everybody's bad on the team and you're the best player, are you going to be happy with that? Like, I'm sorry. No. I'm like,
but he's not, Chris.
Just because everyone else is bad makes him bad.
No, I'm not saying that. But everybody else is bad, so you give it to your best player of a team that's playing bad. It's not like if he scored like 10 goals or something like that, then okay, I get it. But I don't know Sheffield Wednesday. I don't know if he's good. I didn't know if he was playing well or not.
Does that picture show
I don't know.
struggling, Chris?
What's that?
Does that picture show that he's struggling?
I don't know. I've never watched him.
No. Does that? It's either a yes or no answer. Does that picture show that he's struggling?
No, I guess not. If by what you say, because you got to award.
No, but just be honest, because that's the truth. It's not. It's like he. Whether you think he played well or not, he got Player of the Month voted by the fans. Right, they're struggling. That's fine, but he's been their best player, so he's not struggling in general.
Let me ask a question. I don't know this. I gotta ask this question. Is that trophy voted by the fans or is that given by the manager? I don't know.
No, he got Sheffield Wednesday Player of the Month, which is voted for on performances.
By the fans.
No, it's not by the fans. It's voted on.
That's what you said.
I thought
He said
the
the
fans.
fans voted it.
There you go. There's his match ratings so far this season. You know what I mean?
So,
A set of ratings for left back that Dennis Irwin would be proud of. 7 out of 10, Den. You know what I mean? Nothing wrong with that.
Okay. Let's see.
Chris is going to be up all night. Chris is going to be up all night there taking it out.
I don't think it's as bad as everybody makes it out to be in what he said. Now, can I agree that he probably participation? Yeah, I don't see him participating. But here's the other thing.
Ooh, there, Rush, back yourself.
But I think he was trying to make a point and probably did it the wrong way. But in talking about young players playing, it's like these are the players that were playing last year for the squad. And look,
Harry Amos wasn't.
Huh?
He played a couple of games.
Jack, if you play a couple of games for Man Utd, you're going to say you never played? He played. He was in the squad. He was in the match day squad. He was on the bench a lot and everything like that. So he was in the squad. Okay? But those are players that are now gone on loan and everything like that, that even on loan, hey, look, maybe he's not as good right now as everybody thought he was at that point. Because you got to remember in that conversation is, why isn't Kobbie Mainoo playing or why isn't Shea Lacey playing? Those were the questions right before that. And that's when he embarked down this rabbit hole at that point. And he's even come out and said, Shea Lacey he's not adapted to the pace of play yet. Just like when we watched Cheeto Obi Martin play in the first team, he wasn't ready.
Manchester United is all about youth. All right? Okay? Now, I understand that at moments in time, there might not be enough quality there to play youth. I understand that. You don't come out and slate the youth in the media. You just don't do it. It's not acceptable as a Man United manager. I like Ruben Amorim. I want him to be successful. It's unacceptable. Alex Ferguson never once done it. Never once done it. He would tear strips out in the dressing room. Never once said it to the media in front of a camera, ever. It's not acceptable. It's as simple as that. Look, it's one of very, very few mistakes he's made to the media. You know what I mean? In his interviews and so on and so forth. But it touched a serious nerve with an awful lot of the fan base, me included.
Okay. Soft.
It's a tough subject. You don't go near it.
You don't fucking talk about
youth.
The youth. You don't do it. Simple as that. Simple as that. Moving on. D says, just in, Jack of the United Community Channel says Harry Amas is the next Dennis Irwin. I did not say that. No one will ever be as good as me and Desi's fellow Irishman there. Absolutely no way. Right. Want to talk a little bit about transfers for a couple of minutes, guys, before we finish up. And Chris, I'll go to you first on it because over the last maybe hour or so, a lot of reports coming out about Semenyo. And I mean, Fabrizio Romano has been speaking on his own YouTube channel, and he has said that Manchester United and Manchester City have both contacted Bournemouth this week to inquire about the details surrounding Semenyo's situation. It is in relation to January, supposedly, and he does have a £65 million release clause in his contract. What's your thoughts on this? I mean, Semenyo, again, we're talking about players fitting into Amorim's system. Where does he fit in? Is he coming in as a wing back? Is he coming in as an under number 10 when we've already got Cunha and Mbeumo? What do you reckon?
To be honest with you, I'm kind of dumbfounded by this one because I don't understand it. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong. Semenyo's a brilliant player. He's very good and everything like that. I'm not discounting his quality or anything like that, but I don't really see how he fits in unless, you know, you're going to move Cunha. You're going to move Cunha to a false nine, and then you're going to play Cunha, Semenyo, and Mbeumo up top, and they're all going to kind of do one of these kind of things. And, you know, you're not going to play with a straight out number 9 like a Sesko, because then maybe you could bring a Sesko on when needed or something like that. I just think that's, if we're going to trigger 65 million, there's a lot better places to spend that money that we need right now. I'm sorry. I think that's one of those, you know, buys that you do when you're already rich in talent. You know, like you can go and afford to spend a little bit on a Semenyo when you're Man City because you already have the necessary pieces around that you can slot him in and you know, and you can do a couple different things with them and everything like that. But with our squad right now, I don't think that's right. I mean, I don't mind them going out there and just listening to say, hey, what are the terms here? What's, you know, I think it's due diligence. You got to understand what it is.
Well, here's the argument then, Desi, because he's available in January for 65 million. There's very few quality players available in January, you know, and 65 seems to be around the going rate now, you know, similar to what we got Cunha for and Mbeumo for. And I think everybody understands that there are different areas that are probably higher on the priority list in terms of where we need to strengthen defense, midfield, wing backs. But surely if a player of his quality comes up and is available, you've got to kind of like we're not going to get Baleba, Morten, you know, Elliott in January. They're just not going to be for sale. So when an opportunity like this comes up, do you have to nearly just go for it?
With the position we're in, yes. Like, do you know what I mean? Quality, Jack. We need depth. We need quality. And if he's one of the players that he sees as a player that he needs, and he's going to give him game time, and he has a plan for him, by all means, we should be in there and try and get him, because we need to strengthen the squad. It's clear and obvious at this stage. I still don't agree with Niche fan from the other night. I know he said get Semenyo and sack the manager. The second half of that statement really got under my skin.
It
did. No, look, in that statement to Niche fan, I didn't think that Semenyo was a bad player by any means. Like, you know what I mean? I'm just Jack. We need to get quality. He looks really good. He was really good the other night.
Yeah.
Again, you know, as Chris, like, where do we see him fitting in? You know, and then back to what you said, can we get a player that we actually need in the position that we're really struggling in? You know, where's the opportunities going to come from? So I think closer to the time we'll see more, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like we seen then, just trying to find the actual. Oh yeah, there it is. It's coming from the Manchester Evening News. And to be honest with you, I mentioned this before. I'm not totally against United taking their time in the transfer market in January when you know your number one target is going to be available. But Manchester Evening News are saying United are not rushing their midfield rebuild in January and do not expect a busy window. Any move would only be for a long-term target. That's the way you've got to really think. Like, there's been too much short-termism in Manchester United over the last decade, where, you know, we've reacted in the transfer market rather than, you know, be proactive rather than reactive. I think is the way we need to be going forward. But like I said, if an opportunity arises to sign a player that will provide a bit of depth for us, like a Semenyo, you take the 65 million, spend it now, and still go for your midfield targets then, Chris, in the summer.
No, I agree with that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I wouldn't love to have him on the squad.
Yeah,
but,
of course.
I just think, the problem is like, okay, Semenyo at 65. If you're telling me there's no other options to get in the midfield for that price or what we can do, then I can understand it, because like I believe Oshie put it out there in the group chat that, that someone said that Ruben Amorim wanted them to sign Ruben Neves, from 28-year-old Ruben Neves from Al Hilal, because he's got 6 months left on his contract. Like, and I'm not saying that Ruben Neves would be a starter. He would probably start for us because we have that much lack of depth. But at the same time, could Ruben Neves going forward be a good squad player? Yes, he could. Like, and I say the same thing about Conor Gallagher. It's like, if you could get him on a cheaper fee, could he be a good squad player? Because I honestly believe that in January you can get the strength and a good amount of strength and depth, and not ruin your plans for the midfield in the summer. But at the same time, could we go with hey, we're going to go all out attack, and hopefully we just don't concede enough goals? Because concede as many goals as we score at that point. Kind of the Ange Postecoglou look at it like, hey, we'll score 5. I don't care if we give up 3. As long as we score 5, we're good. Until we build that depth in the midfield. And I think we forget too that we have the way INEOS goes about business. It's going to be very hard to get, because they want to buy young all the time, and then you've got to let those young players come through your Heavens, your Euros, and everything. And you got to remember, we're getting Martinez back. Harry Maguire's hurt. De Ligt is hurt. I think Mazraoui had a knock. Did he not? He wasn't. He wasn't in the squad for Monday. But
no, he went to AFCON. He wasn't allowed to play.
Oh, okay. He went to AFCON already. So,
yeah.
But we have defensive players back there. It's just we ran into injuries, and like 2 injuries. Like, I gotta be honest, if you go to another club and you take their 2 center backs, De Ligt and Maguire, whoever, they're going to be hurting as well. Any team's going to hurt. You can't have that much depth, and we still have good quality players. They're just young at that point. So now it's like we kind of got to go with it and just live with their mistakes at that point. Because honestly, I think if we had first team defenders in there like De Ligt and stuff, I think we beat Bournemouth, because I don't think they scored 2 of the 4 goals that they scored.
Yeah. Go on, Desi. You were going to say something there?
Yeah, just when Chris was talking about the defense, then we have a similar problem with the defense. I think Ten Hag had a lot of injuries at the time, but we've never had like a really good amount of defenders where we could be covered if someone got injured. We had to bring back Johnny Evans, I think, at one stage.
Yeah.
And like, this is what, like, I'm not going to keep rambling on about the fucking strength and depth, but at the same time, it's so obvious that we need to start. I've said the other night after the reaction, Jack, look, we've gotten some good players, and we need to just keep that trajectory going. We're getting a good turnover of players coming in that are obviously going to be long term, and we have cover in. You might not have 3 players in that position. You might only have 2. You might have 3 players in that, but we need to have that, because it gives us our overall picture going into games. So I'm definitely not him. No.
Do you know what, lads? There's something about him I'd love to see him signing. Do you know what I mean? Just for the chaos of it for 6 months, I think it'd be fucking brilliant.
That's one of them. That's one of them boys you were just on about, going in January and getting for 6 months. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just get him for 6 months. He cost you absolutely nothing. Just go in,
That'd
grab him.
That's a red card waiting to happen.
Oh, I'd love it.
Is Diego only 27?
Yeah.
He's what?
Wow.
27, 28, I think, yeah.
He's 28. I think Ruben Evans 28.
Yeah.
I tell you what, that could be a half decent boy for the right money.
Because he left Wolves when he was like 23, 24. So he left.
Everybody was saying at the time, why is he going to Saudi so early?
Yeah.
When I seen that in the group chat earlier on, I was thinking, we're not going for another 30-year-old. And then you said 27. I was like, what? 27?
Yeah. He's not. He's a couple. That's the kind of player. Like, I wouldn't mind that. are we late to the party? Like you said that, and so I'm leery of Stiller. I've watched him. Like,
You don't like him, do you?
I think he looks like Florian Wirtz a lot. Like, I think he's going to struggle in the Prem. You know what I mean? Like, I just think there's a lot more space in the Bundesliga. You got a lot more time to move things around and everything like that and everything. So, like, when you get the ball, you have a lot more time. And I think I still rate him, but I'm very leery about Stiller. I've actually, because as much as I've heard about him, I've actually watched a couple of the games, and wow.
Yeah.
He's
D hits the nail on the head there in relation to Neves. Why is he going to Saudi so early? Yeah, he's now a billionaire. So. But look, I think we'll finish on Brandon's comment. United forever, gentlemen.
Yes.
And we will be fans next week and the week after and the week after.
Are we on Sunday then? Right.
We are on Sunday. What time is it on? Please tell me it's late, because I will be severely hungover. We've got our free. It's on at 4:30. Lovely. Yeah. We've got our freebooters Christmas party. We've got a mystery bus tour around Kilkenny. So
you're not even going to be there. Forget it.
Dreading the hangover already. So I just think I'm going to take.
Well, you can just be there. Desi and I will do it. It'll be fine.
I think I'm going to take it nice. I'm just going to drink bottles of Corona and not drinking pints of Guinness. I'm going to drink.
Oh, you're great. There's no way.
We are meeting at 12:30 in the morning. In the afternoon. The bus.
Well, if you get home early, it'll be all right. If you get home,
I get home early. Yeah.
When does Jack ever get home early?
Are you doing a mystery tour, Jack?
Yeah.
Jack's going to be rocking into every pub. I'm Jack Coyne.
There's the Christmas jumper, ready to go. So it is. I said loads of pictures.
We're the only game on Sunday.
What?
We're the only game on Sunday. There's no other Premier League game on Sunday.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, lads, I'll be talking to you at some stage during the week. Anyway, thanks for coming on as ever. And have a good week. I'll chat to you. All right. Appreciate it as always, boys. Thanks everybody for watching as well, lads. If you haven't done so already, do smash a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. On the road to 15,000 subscribers. The numbers have been flying up lately, in fairness. So keep it going. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below if you are listening back at a later date. And I'll catch you tomorrow. Take it easy.